Welcome back to the Energy Connect studio on the ground at Gastech 2025 in the heart of Milan. My name is Rebecca McLaughlin-Eastham, and I'm delighted to say that in the hot seat right now, I have Simon Flowers of Wood Mackenzie. Simon, it's great to see you. How are you doing?
My pleasure. It's great to be here, Rebecca, and see you again.
Simon, let me start by asking you a big picture question. It's a particularly interesting time for the global energy industry. How can companies and indeed countries stay on track with their growth, sustainability and energy security goals at this time?
Well, things have changed a lot in the last 2 or 3 years, I'd say. As you well know, 3 or 4 years ago, it was all about sustainability, and energy security was maybe the second word. I think since the invasion of Ukraine, it's become much more about energy security, and that's changed the whole dynamic, I'd say. So instead of, Europe, for example, rushing towards low carbon energy and renewables, we've found that fossil fuels are going to be here to stay for a while, unpalatable as that may be for tackling climate change, but it's a truism. And what it means is that we're going to need lots of different types of energy for the next several years, maybe much longer than that. And it's breathed quite a lot of life, I'd say, into the oil and gas industry.
Talk to me about the current situation when it comes to European gas, both on the supply and the demand side, and what you would forecast for the year ahead.
Well, for Europe, there's been a transformation as to how it runs its gas, if you like. So gas was one of the, let's say, vulnerable fossil fuels in the energy transition as it unfolds. We, of course, realize that we're very dependent on it. So gas is still an absolutely critical part of it. It's a case of where do we get it from? And the miracle, for want of a better word, is how the industry, the supply industry, has adapted to bring gas to Europe in the crisis when we lost 40% of supply from Russia. So it's coming from all over the world. Increasingly, the US is an important factor. Now, the market is still tight, which means the European gas prices, which have been extremely high, are still quite high. And that's going to last certainly through the first half of this winter. And I think much of this winter is going to be quite a difficult and volatile market. But of course, that will change because in response to the highest prices, we're seeing a lot of new gas projects being developed, particularly in America.
Yeah. The US presence on the ground here at Gastech 2025 in Milan is notable. What have you made of it so far and the comments that we've been hearing?
You're absolutely right. It's been a real feature. The Americans are here in numbers and with senior figures, including Chris Wright, Energy Secretary, and it's been really impressive. My impression is it's a statement of US wanting to be the leaders in the next phase of the US market. Of course, they've got a lot of gas to sell in shale gas. And they wanted to be a product for the world, if you like. They're already the biggest supplier, and they're going to get bigger. So we're going to see a lot of demand for LNG, and the US is going to be a huge part of it. And it's not just the industry, of course. I mentioned Chris Wright, but the government is really pro the industry developing these big projects.
US LNG is one of the hottest topics on the ground here, and a huge delegation, as we've been saying, from the States is also present at Gastech in Milan. Talk to me about the bigger picture, not least when we look at the huge growth in demand for AI and data centers.
Yeah, well, let's start with AI on that and the data centers and how they get powered. And in the medium to long term, nuclear, geothermal, mixing with renewables and what have you, will give the clean energy to power those things. But you can't get it to market quickly enough. So gas is going to play an enormous part in that. And we're expecting 100 gigawatts of new plant, which is like a lot, right? And it's completely transforming the US power market, and a lot of that will have to be supplied by gas. So suddenly the demands on gas resources, mainly shale gas, as I've said, is coming from two places. And we think at Wood Mackenzie that that's going to put quite a bit of pressure on domestic gas prices, Henry Hub gas prices, which have been trading well below $4 a barrel for $4 per MCF, I beg your pardon, for a number of years now. We think they're going to be pushing up to $5 an MCF just because of the sheer demand. If we see the build out of LNG developments and the rapid development, which I think is certain, of data centers.
Some of the key players on the ground here, some of the speakers have been using alternative phrases for the energy transition. They want to call it the energy adaptation, the energy integration. What's your take on this?
I'll give you a third one, which is the energy evolution. So if you go back to shortly after the Paris Agreement, what one might have expected, quite rationally, is you see renewables, hydrogen, these low carbon technologies displacing, substituting for the fossil fuels, coal, as well as oil and gas. But what's actually happened is that we've seen energy demand grow so quickly, with rising population, GDP, and aspirations in developing economies, that we just need more energy, and that displacement is not really happening, it's additive. So when you look at the numbers, the low carbon energy isn't displacing, it's just complementing what's already there. And I think that growth with renewables and other low carbon technologies adding is going to last for quite some years. So we're entering a period where there's going to be a lot of everything needed to meet demand. And so evolution, I think, is where we see it, that you will gradually see low carbon, talking over a decade or so, starting to take more and more of the market, but it'll take a while.
Take a while. Lastly, your standout moment from Gastech so far?
Well, I think it goes back to the Americans here. I mean, I'd like to say first that it's been a very high quality conference with some absolutely tremendous speakers. You've seen a sort of revitalized IOC contingent who are very confident in the long-term future of LNG. But the US group from government, which I think is a very important thing, to the industry itself is here in numbers and really making a big impression. On me, certainly, but I think the rest of the conference.
On all of us. Thank you so much for speaking to me, Simon.
My pleasure. It's great to see you again. Thanks for having me.
Likewise. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Simon Flowers of Wood Mackenzie. Tune in to Energy Connect again next time for more of the same. Until then, take care and goodbye.